We want to chat to you today about accessing divine provision, especially in times of trouble. Let me just get this down.
Hey. Perhaps you can join us for a cup of tea or coffee for those in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Well, instead of, just starting on a theoretical or philosophical level, we have a story. we want to share some of that story with you that I just trust is going to be so encouraging for many of you that might at this stage, have lost your job, or for whatever reason provision is important at this stage. It was in another crisis. Many of you would remember the 2008-2009 financial crisis. And during that time, I worked at a big financial institution in the UK. And for more than a year before then, I've been going through a process of interviews for another big bank. And so I resigned from the one because I had an offer from another institution. And at that very time, this financial crisis hit. And so the company who actually made me an offer withdrew it. And that kind of suddenly brought us face to face with what it means to have no income, but you still have all the bills you used to have coming in month after month. Now, it was probably, a month or two. For a period before then, our hearts were awakened to the fact that we wanted to go and minister again. So that's another layer to the story. And we were praying during that time and kind of just felt that we need to move in this direction of ministry when all this crisis and all this lack hit. So first of all, we want to say that we know what it's like to be in that situation where you have no income. And by the way, we haven't had a stable income since then. So when we chat about how to access divine provision, it's not just theory for us. During that period, of suddenly having all the bills and no income, it's very easy to get caught up in worry, in the anxiety of it. But anxiety and those worrying thoughts can become so loud that we do not hear the whisper of our Abba. And so when Jesus speaks about do not worry about your life, there is some amazing wisdom in his words, because it enables us to remain open to another voice and to another guidance. Don't you want to just read that piece for us?
I just think as well there's the place where you draw within and you access that place within you where you are intertwined with the love of God and with the care of God. And then there's also moments where, just like Jesus, you look without and you look at the birds. And you lift your eyes to the hills from where where does your help come from? And so maybe I'll just read from Matthew 6. This is the Message translation. And it's nice to sometimes just have the words wash over us. So from verse 19, I think it is. Don't hoard up treasures down here where it gets eaten by moths and corroded by rust, or worse, stolen by burglars. Stockpile treasures in heaven where it's safe from moth and rust and burglars. It's obvious, isn't it? The place where your treasure is the place you will most want to be and end up being. Your eyes are windows into the body. If you open your eyes wide in wonder and belief, your body fills up with light. If you have squinty eyes in greed and distrust, your body is a dank cellar. If you pull the blinds on your windows, what a dark life you will have. You can't worship two gods at once. Loving one God, you'll end up hating the other. Adoration of one feeds contempt for the other. You can't worship God and money both. If you decide for God, living a life of God worship, it follows that you don't fuss about what's on the table at mealtimes or whether the clothes in your closet are in fashion. There is far more to life than the food you put in your stomach, more to your outer appearance than the clothes you hang on your body. Look at the birds, free and unfettered, not tied down to a job description, careless in the care of God. And you count far more to him than birds. Has anyone by fussing in front of the mirror ever gotten taller by so much as an inch? All this time and money wasted on fashion, do you think it makes that much difference? Instead of looking at the fashions, walk out into the fields and look at the wildflowers. They never primp or shop, but have you ever seen colour and design quite like these? The 10 best dressed men and women in the country look shabby alongside them. If God gives such attention to the appearance of wildflowers, most of which are never ever seen, don't you think he'll attend to you, take pride in you, do his best for you?
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do here is to get you to relax, to not be so preoccupied with getting so you can respond to God's giving.
Wow.
People who don't know God and the way he works fuss over these things, but you know both God and how he works. Steep your life in God reality, God initiative, God provisions. Don't worry about missing out. You'll find your everyday human concerns will be met. Give your entire attention to what God is doing right now, and don't get worked up about what may or may not happen tomorrow. God will help you deal with whatever hard things come up when the time comes.
Wow. Wow. We can meditate on that for a long time. So what I want to maybe focus in on is how does not worrying and wisdom come together? Because, you know, many times we think to worry, to be anxious is just part of being wise and being prepared. I remember during that time, where worry was overwhelming, could be, and you constantly have calls from creditors, from places where you've missed a payment, and that pressure begins to build, and you dread answering another call. When the pressure is that real, what does Jesus mean, don't worry? I think
because he's not saying just don't care.
No.
Just sit back and
Yeah. There's definitely, he gives us an alternative place of focus. Set your focus. Don't be so preoccupied with what I'm going to do, where I'm going to get.
Yeah.
Set your focus on God's giving, on the
God's initiative,
his generosity. I don't think you can be overwhelmed by the generous nature of your Abba and overwhelmed with worry at the same time. So it's not just a matter of Jesus saying, hey, stop your worry. He's actually saying you need to start putting your focus somewhere else. And when we start putting our focus on what Abba is doing, Just ask your Papa, Papa, what are you doing in relation to me, in relation to our finances, in relation to our future? Start conversing with your Abba about your situation. And out of that, one of the things that we then did is we realized there's some things that we can do absolutely nothing about, and worrying about it is
change them.
It's only a distractive and practice that's not going to help anything. Wisdom, to an extent, is realizing, what am I capable of doing in this situation? What is wise to do? And so in our situation, I started up, setting up more and more interviews, doing what I can do, that I could do. I could accept interviews and start pursuing an alternative income. But at the same time as I was doing what I could do, I withdrew into that place of asking Papa, what are you leading me into? So I don't just want to take whatever next opportunity comes. I want to get into touch with my passion and the desires that Papa is stirring in me. And so for many of you that might have lost your jobs over the past month or two, or lost your source of income, and we know a bit about that as well, I want to encourage you to not simply plan on how to reset the previous order, how to go back, how to restore what you had, but use this time to really get into touch with your passion. Very often we are so busy working, and we are so busy being active, doing what needs to be done, that we seldom consider, what is it I truly desire to do? What is my passion? Now you have an opportunity to ask that question, to converse with your Papa, your Abba, your source. Where are you leading me? What are you telling me? And so something quite important happened during that time. We realized that just as we started together in ministry as missionaries in Africa, that was our passion. We wanted to do that again, travel and just touch the lives of people. It was completely impractical. No one knew us or invited us for ministry. We had no provisions, we just had needs. So to decide to go into ministry in that time was just bonkers. And so after a couple of months, when one of the interviews came back positive and they said, could you start? I remember that day, it was both joy and this underlying anxiety, because I somehow sensed that although this was meant to be the answer to all our prayers, this other desire for us to go again has been stirring in the past month. And so when I prayed and said, Papa, thank you, this opportunity came through. Is this the job that you prepared for me and want me to do? And I just heard Papa say, is that what you want to do? And my heart sank at that moment, because I knew, no, this is not what I want to do, but this was the only way I could see provision coming in. And very gently he drew us back to that place of saying, well, who is your provision? Who is your God? Is it your job? Is it money? Or do you have a source, a Father who truly, deeply cares, even about the amount of hair you have on your head, things that we normally don't even worry about. And so he drew my attention and our attention back to the fact that we have an Abba that cares. And so together we made this decision that, okay, let's do this.
And there were huge practical needs. Obviously, we had a daughter who was in her first year of university, who now the threat was there that she wouldn't be able to continue. And each one of our children walked their own journey in that, in trusting as well.
Yeah. Even with their first travel.
Yeah. So with that, even Eugene had come to us and said he believes he needs to...
Tell where we were going.
Oh, to start that one. I don't know where you're going yet.
So one of our first ministry travels then is we contacted a few just friends in the States saying, we're coming over and, we want to, if you have a group, you want us to speak us, just let us know. And if, like 10 people or so responded, said, yes, come. But we had no provision. So this is where Mary Ann...
Yeah, so Eugene came to us first and said he believes he should go with on this trip.
Yeah.
And so we said, well, you'll have to speak to your Abba. And it was incredible because, was it a day or so late? Or
there
just
was like
our
3 weeks where we had to book tickets, but we just had no provision. We just didn't have any money. And it was a week before we had to travel. I was already thinking, am I going to have to call all these people and cancel all these appointments? And that week before we had to travel, for the first time in a decade of us living in the UK, we got a tax refund.
Totally unexpected. And but there were just a number of things that happened, even with our daughter going back to university.
Yeah, that was amazing.
She had decided in her heart, I had the conversation with her, and she had just said, I know if this is the right thing for me, then the door will open.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then there's something better in store. And so just when the university had actually started and she'd lost her place in residence because, it had started and we weren't able to fulfill it. And I called the university and said to them, sorry, she won't be coming back. And they said, well, we don't accept that. And it was incredible. They said, give us a week. And within that week, they got back. And she had been granted scholarship. She had scholarships because she had such great marks, but at the same time they had a bursary in place, provided her accommodation, transport, and even a food allowance.
Wow.
And it was just incredible. And when I spoke to her and said, this is what has happened, and the head of the department had said, you book a flight now because she needs to come back.
Yeah.
And I spoke to her about it. I was so amazed. She had already packed her bags. They were already sitting in the cupboard ready. She had known within her heart that something would open up. And we booked a flight and off she went. And so many such stories of, very real needs there. And we had no clue how they would be provided. But at the same time, there was a peace and a rest. And I think that there are two words that I just thought of that during that time. The one is joy. Your joy is yours.
Yeah.
To enjoy. And nobody can take it from you without your permission. And I would encourage you at this time, find ways to stir up joy within yourself, within your family. Another one is gratitude, because gratitude's an amazing thing. You know, His mercies are new every morning. I looked out at the rain this morning, this gentle rain just falling on the plants, and realized the consistency of this rain that falls. No respect of person, no respect of plants, it just falls faithfully. And your story is never over. You have the opportunity to see those new mercies every morning and new opportunities every day. And it's not up to you to kind of work out how to work the situation out, how to... as Andre was saying earlier, your responsibility is not to, well, I'm going to sort this out now. But your responsibility first is to rest in what is stirring within you. Focus on what your desires are. What is it that you desire?
To respond to His ability.
Yeah.
I remember when that money came through, again the temptation was, let's just sort out the most urgent things. We then contacted the travel agent, who the day before said, I've got to let these tickets go if you haven't paid. And so she did. But the tickets we then got was actually cheaper than the ones that were held.
And the amount exactly paid for us two, as well as Eugene, who had said he wanted to come with us. And
so for me, there was a moment within those first few months where relationship with money changed, where we now continue to use money to go and bless people, to go and do things. And I remember at one stage we decided to give an amount. And it was so liberating to look at that money and say, this act of giving is a declaration that you are not my God. And after living in the anxiety of you don't have enough, of the worry you don't have enough, that was such an incredible liberty that came. And this happened 11 years ago. We've had plenty of opportunity in those 11 years, not having a salary, to worry again. And I just so want to encourage you that your Abba, the one who gives you the desires of your heart, knows how to fulfill them. Don't allow worry to become such an overwhelming voice and occupation that you cannot set your mind on the one who is so excited about your life. Your Abba is so excited about the beauty, the meaning, the possibilities that can be realized through you. Access that voice. And so we look back at that time, almost 11 years ago, which at the moment was very difficult, and we can say the most significant decisions and changes happened there. And the ministry that we've been involved in for the past 10, 11 years is a result of the decisions made there. And so we just pray that in this time of need, in this time of uncertainty, that you would tune in to the voice of the one who adores you, the one who loves you, and that this time, in a few years' time, when you look back, you will say, this was a time of the most significant decisions that I've made for our good. Papa, we ask that you right now start stirring within each person listening to this video, this message, that you would stir within them the excitement of what you are preparing for them. The hearing ear, the seeing eye, God has made them both. He knows how to communicate to you. Give your full attention to what your Abba is doing and saying to you right now. Beautiful opportunities to love and to create beauty and goodness is opening up in front of each one of you. Do not worry. You are loved. Amen. Do you want to sing us a song?
Why do you worry about your life? What you will eat, what you will wear. Look at the birds, they are careless in His care. See the flowers, they don't toil or spin. How much more are you worth? And what do you have that you have not been given? What can you add to your life? You're already rich, you're already full. You reign in this life through Jesus Christ. How much more are you worth? Are you worth? So why do you worry about your life? What you will eat, what you will wear. Look at the birds, they are careless in His care. See the flowers, they don't toil or spin. How much more are you worth? Oh, how much more are you worth? You are worthy of love. You are worthy of love. Worthy of love.
You are so loved, friend. Your Abba adores you, the one who sustains you moment by moment in existence. Is with you. He knows your every care, your every thought. You're so valuable to Him.
Yeah.
Rest in that. Trust your Abba. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Hmm.